Welcome to Silicon Scoop, where we dive into the latest tech news impacting the world. Join John Irwin and the Startup Coach as they explore the tech news that matters to you. Stay ahead, stay informed, and now on with the show.
Researchers at IISc discovered that in ultra-clean graphene, electrons stop acting like individual particles and start flowing collectively like a coordinated liquid. This Dirac fluid allows heat to travel 300 times faster than electricity, completely shattering the standard rules of metallurgy. Physics just hit a massive glitch. Researchers found a state of matter where heat and electricity finally file for divorce. We're talking about quantum liquid in graphene that breaks a 150-year-old law of nature and its secret key to the next generation of super sensors. This isn't just lab trivia. It paves the way for a perfect thermal conductors and quantum sensors that could make GPS obsolete by sensing magnetic fields with terrifying precision. What do you think about this, John?
I'm excited for this. I've always loved graphene. I think graphene is awesome. And we've talked about graphene batteries. We've talked about graphene in a lot of things. But this is really cool because they're essentially breaking a physics law, which is the Wiedemann-Franz law. And that states that the ratio of thermal conductivity, which is heat, to electroconductivity, charge, is constant in metals. And this works because electrons normally carry both heat and electric current. So if electricity flows well, heat should too. So what did graphene do instead? So in ultra-clean graphene, scientists observed a massive deviation up to 200x from this law. So heat and charge are decoupled. They no longer move together, which was what was even more surprising was sometimes heat increased while electrical conductivity decreased, which is the opposite of what physics predicts. So the physics behind it is this Dirac fluid. So at a special condition called the Dirac point, graphene becomes neither a metal nor an insulator, and electrons behave like massless relativistic particles. And so in this regime, electrons kind of interact strongly with each other, and they form this, like you said, this collective quantum fluid, which is called the Dirac fluid. So instead of moving independently, they move like a coordinated liquid with ultra low viscosity, which is really cool. So the electrons in the Wiedemann-Franz law assumes that electrons behave like independent particles, but in graphene, they behave like a strong interacting system. And so the result is the foundational assumptions of the law essentially collapse, and heat and charge become independent transport channels, which I think is really cool. So it's not breaking physics, it just breaks assumptions, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. I like to think of this as an update like the difference between a crowded sidewalk and a synchronized swim team. In normal metals, electrons are like commuters bumping into each other, struggling to move forward. In graphene quantum liquid, the electrons link arms and flow like a high-speed river because they move as one. They carry a massive wave of heat through the material without the electrical baggage that usually slows them down. So this is currently in the high-end lab phase. Commercial card size quantum sensors are not projected until about 2030, or are projected for about 2030. So we're talking about only 4 years away.
Yeah. And so if actually heat and electricity decouple, we could design systems where electricity flows without overheating and energy loss is dramatically reduced. So ultra efficient chips, like you said, quantum computing sensors, quantum computing platforms, and new sensor technologies. So I like to think about graphene as becoming sort of like this physics playground, because it's not just a material, it's a test bed for rewriting physics models. And this is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So this violation is 200 to 300 times the factor, right?
Yeah, 200x, yeah.
And at temperatures roughly between 30 and 60 Kelvin, which is about negative 243 to negative 213 degrees Celsius.
negative 253. Is that negative? Is that Kelvin?
So the Kelvin is 30 and 60. So anyway, they utilize the Dirac point like we talked about, the neutral energy junction where the conduction and valence bands meet. In ultra clean samples, the electron to electron collisions dominate over impurity scattering, creating a hydrodynamic transport. So this is the most significant challenge to the Wiedemann-Franz law since its inception in 1853. It represents a shift in the quasi-particle model to many-body physics, similar to the leap from classical mechanics to general relativity. I'm kind of excited that almost every time we talk about something new in the physics world, we're getting closer and closer to the overlap of quantum physics and our understanding of normal physics. Even though I call quantum magic, and when we talk about quantum physics and whatnot, we're starting to get a better picture. Every time we see the early inceptions of the universe, and every time we see what's escaping a black hole, and every time, like, it all changes our big picture and starting to make, now the universal quantum theory of gravity and our normal theory of gravity are starting to make sense together. I like it when these start joining together. And the electron fluid in this graphene had the viscosity ratio within 4 times the theoretical minimum, making it a nearly perfect fluid, similar to the quark gluon plasma found milliseconds after the Big Bang.
Yeah.
So the EU is already pouring millions into this via the Gator project, specifically to weaponize this fluid state for magnetic field sensing. Despite being 1 atom thick, this liquid state is effectively a 2-dimensional river where electrons and holes, the absence of electrons, flow together in a perfect dance. Critics still argue that this isn't a new state of matter, but rather a natural byproduct of graphene being a semi-metal. They claim the law isn't broken, it just never applied to graphene's unique geometry in the first place.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
If you are in the defense, aerospace, or autonomous vehicle sector, start tracking solid state quantum sensors today, because there's probably some good investments coming, but don't take our investment advice. But, we're always have my startup advice and where things are going. And as a startup, I'd be looking at this kind of space if you're into it. What do you think? Anything else here, John?
No, I'm just excited. I love graphene. I think integrating it into every is like even solar cells and everything like that. It's going to be a game changer for tons of devices and tons of instruments.
Yeah, we've officially moved past the era of treating electrons like billiard balls into the era of treating them like a high-speed quantum tide. If you could have a sensor that knows exactly where you are without a single satellite or GPS, would you trade your privacy for that kind of unhackable navigation? Let us know in the chat. Tired of drowning in repetitive tasks while your competitors race ahead? Every minute you spend on manual data entry, scheduling, and routine processes is a minute you're not growing your business. Flowgrammer.ca transforms your workflow chaos into seamless automation. We build AI-powered systems that handle your busy work so you can focus on what actually makes you money. Our clients typically save 15 plus hours per week and see their productivity double within 60 days. Visit flowgrammer.ca for a free automation audit. That's flowgrammer.ca. Stop working in your business and start working on it. What do you got going on, John?
Just plugging away, helping companies with government funding, attending events, probably startup drinks or Flowgrammer events. How about you, Craig?
Lots of stuff going on. I honestly don't know when this is going out. I have to check. I think it's going to go out in April. But there's all sorts of stuff going on. If you don't know about OpenClaw, it's the latest AI automation agent that's taken the world by storm in 2026. And OpenClaw Toronto chapter just launched. And we have all sorts of events going on. So check out openclawto.com. Our first demo night is April 14th. We have a Builder Cafe on April 10th. We have a bunch of other events. There's updates every day. We've deconstructed the latest 2 betas over the weekend that was launched in OpenClaw and what you should do about them. There's a bunch of articles over there. Go check that out. We're also over at flowgrammer.ca where we do N8N automations. We run the Flowgrammer community. I do Builders Hub and connectivity for AI and business automation agents. And for everything else, head over to TorontoStarts where we hook up startups and investors at our Startup Investor Drinks. We do mentoring, we do workshops, we have a list of investors. There's a whole bunch of content over. You can also book me over there if you want a meeting with me to talk about whatever, help your startup. Check out TorontoStarts.com. But John, if people are looking for non-dilutive funding, where should they go and what is that?
Yeah, non-dilutive funding. We're talking government grants, tax credits. Come find me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. Right now is Shred Time, SRNED. But come reach out to me too if you've got a startup, if you've got a company, reach out to me if you have any questions. And if they have company questions about their startup in general, where do they find you, Craig?
Yeah, find me at TorontoStarts.com. But John, just before we go, something's open right now, and it's closing May 31st. Thank you. Can Export. And what?
Yeah. So
what
if
should
you have
people
at
know
least
about that?
300,000 in revenue in the previous year, and you're looking to expand outside of Canada, reach out to me, and we can put together. We can talk about an application for Can Export.
All the links we talked about will be in the show notes wherever you're watching this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Leave us a comment, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to Silicon Scoop. We hope you enjoyed this episode's dive into the latest tech news. Stay connected with John Irwin and the Startup Coach on LinkedIn and subscribe for more insights and updates. Until next time, stay ahead, stay informed.